Hello everybody, welcome back to another reading. Today we're taking a look at the case of Harvey and Jeanette Crewe, who were from New Zealand in a place called Pukekawa. They had a farm there and they had an 18-month-old called Rochelle. On the 22nd of June, they actually were discovered missing and the house was discovered to be bloody, at least the living room was. The dinner that they had eaten the night that they disappeared was still on the table. And they suspect that the actual murder took place on the 17th, so several days beforehand, about 5 days beforehand. Now, the 18-month-old daughter, Rochelle, was found in her cot distraught, and she definitely had lost some weight, but as you know, if you go without water for 2 days, you might end up dying due to dehydration, and it had been 5 days officially since anybody had seen Harvey and Jeanette or heard from them, so technically Rochelle should have been dead from dehydration, but the theory is that somebody came over and gave her some fluids in between time. A witness said that they saw a woman on their property after the 17th, and that woman is suspected of giving fluids to the child. We don't know who the woman is. We don't know who the murderer is. There was a suspect called Arthur Allen Thompson, but he has been cleared. He was actually convicted, but based on false evidence planted by people that were part of the investigation. So sometime after they were discovered missing, Jeanette was found in a river first, wrapped up in a duvet cover with some copper wire around it to keep her in place. And Harvey was found in a river as well sometime later, also wrapped in blankets and tied together with some type of metal wiring and weighed down with some engine jack or something heavy to keep him from floating to the top, I suppose. To this day, we don't know who actually carried out this crime. We do have some instances that happened before the crime that were very suspicious. For instance, one of the reasons why they tied Arthur Allen to this case was because there had been a burglary at the house sometime before that, and one of the things that was taken was, I believe, a brush and comb set that had been gifted to Jeanette by Arthur Allen, who had tried to date her at an earlier time. So that's what they thought. Tied him to the case as in some type of revenge thing, like, okay, if I can't have you, you can't have this set, or whatever they thought his train of thought was. Like I said, he was tied to the case also through that shotgun shell, but that was planted by somebody else. So they didn't really have a lot of evidence to go on, and actually they didn't have a lot of evidence in general. Other things that happened, shortly after Rochelle was born, Jeanette spent some time in the hospital recovering, and Harvey went to his in-laws to get some dinner. And when he came back, he found that one of the bedrooms had caught fire, which caused some significant damage to the property. Sometime after that, a hay barn also caught fire through unknown causes. So they suspect somebody was behind all this, or one person was behind all these fires, but we really don't know anything more than that. That is why we're looking at this case with the tarot today. We're starting off with the Crow Tarot, which is already on the table, which is this one. And for further questions, moving on to the Deviant Moon Tarot, which is this one. Now, as per usual, I'm just going to start shuffling the cards, and as soon as I have about a table full of cards, we're going to stop and take a look. So without much further ado, let's get started. Okay, so let's see. I see a lot of inability in these cards. First of all, we start with a reversed King of Pentacles over here, which is normally somebody who is good with finances, but in this case could be very hard done by. Maybe somebody who has had a lot of burden in the past as well. So we're looking at somebody who may have been looking for some type of gain. So this might have been a robbery gone wrong, that type of thing, which may explain why they didn't go after the child. Perhaps they never even knew that there was a child in the house, so this might be somebody who's not known to them. We have the Sun in reverse as well. Light has left the life along with the burden, perhaps. I'm seeing somebody who just can't win, because the next one that we have here is the Tower, and also High Priestess in reverse. So this lineup over here, this entire line, is a lot of I just can't catch a break, there's so much trouble in my life, and why can't I just have what other people have? Maybe because he is looking, he wants to be the King of Pentacles, I believe, this person, but they lack insight here with the High Priestess in reverse. Perhaps insight into how they could make things better for themselves, because I am also looking at the Pentacle, which is on that moon over there. This is of course a card that has all different suits on it. There's a sword, there's a wand, there's a cup, and there's of course the Pentacle. The Pentacle is really drawing my attention, like perhaps in ways of figuring out how to settle themselves properly, get a job, be a perhaps respectable member of society, and this person does not know how to do that, or has had a very rough start, because we have here the Tower in reverse along with this whole thing and the Sun reverse right next to it. So I think this is somebody blinded by their past and just unable to catch a break, and perhaps just went and looked for something or someone who could help with that. It's further spurred on this line of thinking by the Magician being in reverse here, and we also have the Six of Wands in reverse. So this is basically somebody who cannot catch a break, also is not very capable of a lot of things, because the Magician is in reverse. Either that, or they learned a lot of bad tricks in the past as well. We do see here the Four of Swords, which is normally taking a break and perhaps also taking a new perspective. Maybe they thought about this for a while. Perhaps they decided, you know what, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to try to figure out what I can do, what I can't do, what I could potentially get away with. And then we also see here the Seven of Pentacles, which came in last, but I put it in the middle, so I think it kind of belongs in this whole story right here. Like, Seven of Pentacles is normally a card that is reaping the rewards of something that you've been growing. And we see that combined with the Two of Pentacles, which is trying to balance your finances, perhaps also making some plans in regards to balancing your finances, and that is followed by the Ace of Wands in reverse. So I think this is them thinking up ways that they could get out of this funk that they found themselves in, and their idea would be to undergo this mission of theirs. Like I said, I'm not sure if they even really knew the Crews. Perhaps they knew of them, and in any case, their past led them to taking actions like these, which I'm sure they felt was not the right thing to do, because the Six of Wands is a card like where somebody is lauded, celebrated, that type of thing. So even they probably felt like it wasn't the right thing to do, but they apparently thought that they needed to, because they had no choice, and this would be their nest egg, literally. I feel like the fact that the Ace of Wands is reversed, aside from pointing towards the fact that they knew it wasn't a good thing to do or a positive action to take, I think it also just went sideways. They probably did not expect it to go that way. And I'm looking at the ground that they're sitting on, and there's all these little yellow discs, almost like the pentacles that they thought they were going to get are there, but they're far out of reach because it just didn't go right. They probably did not expect it to turn into a robbery gone wrong. Let's see what else we can find, because at this point we have the robbery gone wrong situation. What's next? Oh, that stack right there wanted to go. That's 4 or 5 cards. All right, we're in a hurry today apparently. We have the Three of Pentacles in reverse, which is normally like working together with people, but it's in reverse, so either they found a few people that helped them that were also not from the best of environments, perhaps also had a similar background to him, or they just were like, no, we're not going to bother helping you out with this, which kind of leads me to the next card, which is the Six of Pentacles in reverse, and that's usually like a charity card. In this case, it's not charitable at all, so perhaps this is pointing towards him having asked other people, or them, I don't know if it was him necessarily, having asked other people to join in, but they were like, no thank you, I'm not going to help you with this, and that sounds like a terrible idea, I don't want to get involved, that type of thing. However, we do find here an Ace of Cups with the Two of Cups right next to each other, which both kind of point towards a new relationship or some type of connection with somebody. A good relationship doesn't have to be a romantic one, could also just be a business one. Close friendships, that type of thing. And I think this may point towards them having found somebody after all who was going to stick with them through thick and thin, who probably was also from the same background and thinking, maybe if we just do this once and we do it right, we can celebrate afterwards and stick together. So I think they may have asked people to do something similar in the past and was told no, but afterwards found somebody who was actually agreeing to their plan. Let's see what else we can get. Oh, there we go. Page of Cups. So there was a surprise. Oh, and again the Tower. Perhaps no surprise or a negative surprise. And the Tower's in reverse again, which I feel may be a thought process that they tend to have. Towers normally like something being turned upside down, something that you thought was solid in your life, crumbling before your eyes. And since it's in reverse, I feel like that is something that is a constant pattern with this person. So this seems like something happened that they were not expecting, but at the same time they're like, yeah, of course it figures that this would happen to me, of course this happens to me, that type of thing. Like perhaps they had not expected the robbery to go wrong, but at the same time they're like, yeah, this is my luck, this is what happens, and I kind of knew this couldn't go well from the start. So that appears to have been a thing. This bunch, this is a lot actually. This is 5 cards and then we have this one. Let's start with this one and then we'll move on to the stack in a moment. The Knight of Swords. Okay, so that is somebody who is normally charging off with the sword in the sky. He is actually mounting what looks like a combination dragon and horse. So I do feel like this person is also very quick to talk. Perhaps this will be the afterwards. They had a lot of words for what just happened to excuse themselves, perhaps also to work up an alibi or something else. This seems like things went wrong and they took their actions and then immediately went on the offense or the defense to people around them. Perhaps they even started talking about where they had been that weekend, which was of course in a totally different location to the farm where the murders took place. Almost like they were trying to make sure that their alibi was solid right off the bat. Like they did the deed, came back home and immediately started telling people about the amazing holiday trip they'd just been on together and how that was somewhere completely different. We have here the Ace of Pentacles, so this is definitely a new financial initiative. Perhaps they did manage to get something out of it. I don't recall hearing about anything having been stolen from their house. So I'm not really sure whether this is them spending money that they got. Either way, it is a new outlook on life and a new outlook on their resources and how to spend them. Gotta say, I don't think I've ever actually drawn this card in a reading before, so I'm also very curious to see that coming out right now. But yeah, so new ideas for resources and finances. We have here the Death card, and I think this is the end of their old self. The ship in the background is sinking, I just noticed. Can you guys see that? Yeah, right there. and the factories in the background as well. This almost seems like, okay, let's say goodbye to our old life, like all the things that were going wrong previously and all the work that we had to do previously is no longer an option for us because we are now in a different phase of our life. They may have actually gotten addicted to something because the devil is coming out, so maybe they were either addicted to the rush that they got off of that, or perhaps they had other addictions that they were struggling with post this, perhaps also caused by the fact that they were now murderers. Obviously the average person is not left cold by that, so perhaps they were trying to deal with that through substance abuse or something along those lines, perhaps alcohol abuse or just anything they could get their hands on to deal with these things. We have here the Page of Wands, which is normally also somebody who is very rash with their actions. Like this person is walking on stilts on what looks like a frozen pond, which is bound to go well. But they do not appear to be aware of the danger, and I don't think they really care. So this is like a hedonism type of thing combined with the Devil and the Death card over there. They seem to have just gone off deep end afterwards. We see here the Four of Pentacles, which is somebody also kind of worried about their finances and trying to make the best of it, but also looking very haunted. And once again, we see the factory in the background, so they're trying to leave that behind, but they're also very concerned. And you see that this death-looking character appears to be leading them into the flames. I'm also drawn to look at the fact that they only have one shoe on, like they used to be in better shape, and there are some handprints on the bottom of their robes. I don't know if you guys can see that. I think you can. They're very vague, but it kind of points towards somebody kind of having perhaps tried to beg them not to leave, and they are looking back behind them like, oh my god, I hope they don't follow me, that type of thing. So they may feel a little haunted, is what this card seems to be pointing towards, but they're also not heading towards very much better times, it seems. So even though they are currently not in jail for whatever they did, maybe they did something else and they're in jail for that, I don't know, but either way, they were never actually formally arrested and prosecuted over the murders of the Crews. It looks as though they did not manage to rest because they are very haunted and they're basically doing whatever they can to get through the day while trying to hang on to whatever it is that they have in the ways of resources and financial freedom, perhaps. Okay, we got a couple more cards. They're falling out in bunches today. We've got Eight of Wands, which is definitely a communication, could be. They are hard at work at this point, but they are interrupted by some news, which apparently does not suit them very well. If you look at the face of this person, they're just like annoyed with the interruption. We have the King of Wands in reverse as well, and we have the Ten of Swords, so that is worrying a lot. So I think the King of Wands over here, didn't we have a King of Wands at the start? No, that was the King of Pentacles, also in reverse, by the way. So this person is now just constantly doing whatever it is that they can in order to avoid being detected, and also just maybe they are no longer being suspected, or maybe they were never suspected in the first place, but I do feel like they still feel haunted, and that leads them to constantly doing new things, taking new actions. They got a communication from somewhere that did not settle things for them either, because we see here the Ten of Swords, which is a Dark Before the Dawn card, so they were feeling very bad about it. And there were some times where they were actually stabbed perhaps by words, because you can see there are 3 places where the swords actually did pierce the person in the box, twice in their arm and once in a foot. So I think that some people may have made remarks that came a little too close to the truth for comfort, and they may have seen something online in regards to this as well, which could also be the Eight of Wands here, which is sometimes also online communication. Now this happened in the 70s, so they would have to have been 20 years down the line for anything to appear online about them. So this could also be news reports, this could be a newspaper, this could be somebody talking, somebody coming to visit them and just talking about the case, and perhaps they thought this person might know something, like, oh no, they're on to us, which is like the Ten of Swords as well, like they're constantly thinking about negative things, negative self-talk, very anxious, very worried. So I think that they were constantly looking over their shoulder. Now, they were constantly looking over their shoulder, but are we going to see evidence coming out that's going to point towards them eventually? Are they going to be caught? Are they going to be made known? Nope, that one and this one. All right, King of Wands is back. And here we've got the Star. Okay. This almost looks like, due to them being so active all the time, at least one of them ended up in some type of favorable position. So, like, they were noticed by somebody and who liked the way that they handled things, didn't know anything about the past, obviously, but were found to be useful for somebody else's purposes. In any case, the King of Wands is a right, which in this case would mean perhaps changing things for the better, perhaps trying to live life above board, and finding themselves to be successful after all, which is an interesting thing to note, that previously they were terribly not successful, and then they have to go through all this trouble to now be living an upstanding life with everything still buried in their past, no doubt. What else can we see? Oh, we got 10 of Pentacles in reverse, so they're definitely not going to have any type of inheritance from this. They're not in a great financial position. It's not like they're making money off of this now. Card. All right, let's see. We have the World in reverse, so yeah, they are still hidden from the world, whomever this is. So it looks as though, even though it definitely pained them to have done that in the past, it doesn't look like they're gonna get caught because they are currently a star in their own rights and they're doing everything above board. Things are not being righted, the wrongs are not being righted, and it's still being hidden from the world, which is why the World is in reverse. Let's see if we can get a final card, maybe. Just a couple. Okay. Final cards. Alright, so there is no harmony because the Four of Wands is in reverse. Everything is a mess here meanwhile. Hang on. So no harmony here, but we do see cooperation with some other people. So perhaps they do now have a crew that they work with and that they're reaping the rewards from, because you can see that they're eating fruits over there together because they're working together to get all this stuff. But within themselves, they are still not harmonious at all. So yeah, it does look like they're getting away with this, and like we're probably never going to figure out that it was them. They're probably not going to see any type of jail time over that, unfortunately. That is what I'm seeing for the Harvey and Jeanette Crewe case. I hope you found that interesting. Make sure to leave a like and a comment. That really helps the channel along. As per usual, there is a link in the description that leads to a Google form. If you have a case, a public case that you would like me to do a reading on, make sure to submit that. It's only 2 questions that you have to fill out, and I'm not going to get any information about the person who filled it out, so don't worry, it's not going to ruin your anonymity. So if you have any cases, make sure to drop them there. In any case, thanks for watching. Hope to see you in another video, and bye bye for now.